So getting right underway, um, apologies. My name is Sean Doty. I am a customer success manager here at SmarterServices, and joining me is my colleague Claire Skiba, also a customer success manager. We focus on Smarter Proctoring, Smarter ID, and Smarter Measure service lines. The topics for discussion today are kind of going to range from the general things to know, some helpful tips, the exam URL breakdown, a deep link in the third-party vendor system versus an SSO, single sign-on, and when to use each one, when it is going to be appropriate or required to ensure that the student has the most fluid process possible. And then we're going to go into exam platforms. We have put a number of our top used platforms in this webinar today, and we will go recommended versus required settings and the lockdown settings and password injection as well will be discussed. So tips for lockdown settings. Now, I go over this a lot in my faculty trainings, but sometimes it comes down to what they want to accomplish from a testing standpoint to ensuring that the integrity is as high as possible. I always recommend, I do not require because it is an option, but I always recommend keeping only one screen setting enabled for security reasons. This ensures that as my setup is multiple monitors in my laptop, I would be forced down to only one screen. And when I test, it will record that screen. So anything that I, the student, do while testing will be recorded during that session. And I'm not going to have different screens open to view that. If using live online proctoring services from SmarterServices, disable the verification options. The verify ID and room scan buttons at the very bottom of the lockdown settings, they're right under it. Turn those off. It is part of our standard operating procedure to ask the student for their ID, take a headshot, ask them for a room scan or a desk scan, depending on the school utilizing the service. It is customizable. Additionally, if a file is being provided to the student as supplemental information, you only need to disable the force full screen setting. As you can see here, a blue with a check mark means it is turned on. If it is grayed out, it is off as you're looking at your settings on an exam. If they just need to access an Excel file, if it's a PDF, something of that nature, we just have to get that over to the turning off a forceful screen. Now, if the supplemental information, if that resource is within the LMS, the course itself or on a certain web page that you're sending them to, you only need to turn up the disable new tabs button so that they can have that tab open when they utilize that resource. You don't need to take them out of full screen as it will be showing on their screen. So let's talk compatible third-party systems. So today we're going to cover a couple of them. Pearson, MyLab, Pearson Mastering Physics, a little out of line there, but Cengage, McGraw-Hill, Connect, and Alex. These are a few of the ones we use. There are others that are being used, but we are focusing on these 5 today. So when it comes to Pearson, MyLab, and Mastering, really Pearson in general, you're going to use a deep link into the Pearson third-party assessment engine when there is no single sign-on being used inside of the LMS. If your school currently uses single sign-on, have the instructor add that link into the exam URL field with the corresponding password that is within the assessment platform. We need to make sure those passwords align. The lockdown settings need to match the image shown on the right-hand side of your screen. With Pearson, the way their password injection operates, it is a pop-up screen. So we need to turn off force full screen and disable new tabs to make sure that that password can be injected without fail. And now for both MyLab, the automatic and manual injection both work as designed. For Mastering Physics, auto injection does not work, but the student having that manual injection button, that does work. So they are able to proceed forward without having to get extra support or take any time away from their testing to get help putting in that password. Again, it is all right that we turn off force full screen and disable new tabs as we still have the only one screen setting turned on. This ensures you will see in the recording what the student is doing. If they are navigating away from the page, going to Wikipedia, they're going to Google, they're typing in answers such as that, and they are obviously not taking the integrity part as seriously as they should. There is something in the Q&A. One answer again, yes, I'm going to create the PowerPoint is going to be saved as a PDF. I will be sending it to all attendees and registrants of this after the session is completed and everything is processed. Secondly, we have Cengage. I know Cengage is another popular third-party vendor utilized by our schools. Again, if not using single sign-on, deep link into the Cengage assessment engine when that is happening. But if there's a single sign-on, putting that link into SmarterProctoring so the student is taken to the proper place by our system when using these virtual options. The settings for lockdown and verification can be as strict as possible. Obviously, you see the image right here. These all work with our Cengage partnership. But what's really important here is single sign-on versus that deep link, which we cover in all these. If the student is sent to the third-party vendor and the school does use single sign-on, they will not be able to access the material because of that third-party vendor not recognizing any username or password that student enters into the login page. It's all coming through the LMS and passing them over. So we really need to ensure that we're putting in the proper link for the exam when it is built. For the Cengage platforms, WebAssign, MindTap, OWL, auto and manual both work for WebAssign. The auto injection does not work for MindTap, but manual does. And then OWL will work from an automated and automatic and manual injection standpoint. McGraw-Hill, this is a unique one, but again, talking about SSO and deep link, depending on which one is being used within the LMS, will obviously direct the path that the URL needs to be. When it comes to lockdown settings, the same as Pearson, we need to turn off forceful screen and disable new tabs at a minimum to ensure the highest security. But again, we have that only one screen turned on, and we are making sure that we see what they do. With password injection, this one's a little different. At the bottom, you can see I put password injection, auto no, manual yes. So while we will automatically inject the password into the McGraw-Hill password field, what's happening is it does not recognize our automatic injection of the password. So with that, what needs to happen is the student simply has to click into the password field at the end of the password that's been injected, hit spacebar, delete, and they are able to proceed. They don't need to manually inject the password. They do have to take action though, because the password field in McGraw-Hill is looking for keyboard action happening within the password field. And since we auto-injected it, the student didn't type anything, or the user. And so the moment they hit spacebar and delete, it recognizes the entire password we have auto-injected, and they will be able to move forward. So this one's a little tricky, but easily something that allows the user to move forward without issue. Alex, our last one here, exam URL can be a deep link or SSO, obviously depending which the institution is using. Password will automatically inject, but again, same thing with McGraw-Hill is recognizing the password after the user clicks into that field and spacebar, delete that character, ensuring that it is now seeing how many ever characters are put within the system. Password injection, no. Manual, yes. Strict lockdown and verification options can still be applied for this exam. Talking about support. So when a student is testing, it's very important, obviously, that they get support when they need it. Our support is 24/7, 365. The student has the ability to live chat, as do faculty when building their assessment. The support agents serve more as partners to the proctors, to the students and faculty, ensuring that the student can test when they need to. That moves forward without having to reschedule, accommodations added, attempts added, things of that nature. It is and anybody testing with our live or hybrid virtual proctoring services, it is seamless support interaction within that active exam room and session as our proctors and our support team are able to connect with each other outside of the platform to ensure that everybody is in the loop on what is happening with each student when they are receiving support. Resources are attached here. So I have the main resource center for instructors, the main resource page for them. Remote proctoring student resource guide is a great one-pager that does ensure the student can get help setting up and preparing for the exam. That is something that every student should do. If you are utilizing automated proctoring from SmarterServices, I highly recommend utilizing practice exams. This will ensure the student's machine is ready to go on test day, and they are only worried about the exam on that day and not will this provider, this vendor we use to test with, work with my machine. We can test that well ahead of time and ensure everything is working. And again, student resource page, link to this in the syllabi and make sure that there is adequate information for the student when they're trying to use smarter proctoring. There is a wealth of knowledge in there that can really help a student get up to speed when using our system. So Q&A, are there any questions? I know we kind of covered a lot. This webinar series is meant to be kind of quick hit information, ensuring that we don't take up a lot of your time. Is there anything we can clarify or help with at this time? If you want to just throw that information right into the chat or the Q&A, we're happy to address that as well. So great question. Are these the same for LTI 1.1 and 1.3 integrations from these publishers? I cannot confirm that, as Smarter Proctoring is not on 1.3 at this time. We are still working to that. So our system is still 1.1. And so once we get to 1.3 and understand from the development team, sorry, did I misunderstand the question here, Guy? Let me allow you to talk so you can ask it. I apologize for I'll let everybody really quick.
Sean, I'm not asking about your integration. I'm asking about publishers' integrations.
I do not know about the publishers' integrations. I'll follow up with Eric on that one and see if they have that.
That's something we kind of need to know. Is the information you're giving valid for both or only for one or the other? Because some of these, I think a lot of campuses are in the middle, like we are, of doing upgrades.
Yep. Let me connect with Eric or Jason today, and I will get you an update on the vendors, how our processes work, if it's only for one or the other or both. If it matters that way, but I'll follow up with you on that. That'll be in the email I send out to everybody based on the questions. Anyone else? Clarifications, questions, anything that I can help provide answers for this morning? And if there is I do want to say this, see if you're typing one in or not. If there is a third-party vendor that you are looking to use with our system that might be new, you have a new department bringing on Smarter Proctoring, they want to utilize it, but they have a third-party vendor that they want to work with, and you're not sure if it'll work with Smarter Proctoring, please let us know. We will just set up a little test, see what we find out, and we will obviously work with you to make sure it's either working right out of the box or let you know what will need to be done to ensure that it works for the faculty and students at your school. All right. Well, I want to thank you again for joining me this morning, myself and Claire, for allowing us to walk through these tips, tricks about third-party vendors. If you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We are here to help to make sure every exam is set up properly and accurately, and ensuring that students have the easiest time when testing possible. But thank you again and have a great rest of your week.